Peace family, Vie Darling, the Cosmic Queen, and your intergalactic interpreter, and welcome to the Aetherium, my spiritual sanctuary where I am pioneering the spiritual practice of cosmic wellness, which contextualizes our place in the universe. This practice is built on a foundation of what I like to call spiritual abolition, which is a shadow work framework that really finds itself in decolonial abolition so that we can take back our power and stand in our integrity as self-sovereigns, because that is what we are doing here in the Aetherium. We are reclaiming our sovereignty and our agency and getting out of spiritual slavery, spiritual bondage. I started this reading out as like a pick-a-pile. I'm still gonna do the pick-a-pile. I'm just not gonna do it right now because I ended up doing a general reading to start. And that was an hour, of course. It was an hour, and like I can't jump into doing 3 piles of readings after doing a 111 on the timer, after doing an hour-long reading. So I decided to just go ahead and post this general reading first and do the piles separately, 1, 2, 3 on the timer. So if you want, I would definitely recommend watch this whole thing and then go to the pick a card when I upload it. If you want like more specific insights into your personal situation, and I will also share that the reason that what inspired me to do this reading, one, I was feeling dump trucks, as they say on Adventure Time. I was feeling down in the dumps. I woke up feeling demoralized AF. Yeah, I just was feeling super demoralized, and I was like, I need to tap in. I need to do a reading. I need to I need to get in tune with the collective, or I need to get in tune with creator, and how I do that is by being of service to all of you, especially through my readings. But then also we have a transit that inspired me when I was meditating before doing this reading. What kept coming up is like letting go. What do we need to let go of? And what that reminded me of is that when I'm recording this on the 6th of September 2024, and on the 5th of September 2024 at 6:27 Greenwich Mean Time, we had a truly astounding, powerful, incredibly important, and probably not very much talked about transit that happened astrologically of the moon, dark moon Lilith, the south node all being exactly conjunct at 7 degrees of Libra in the 2nd house. 7 and 2 are both numbers associated with Venus, mind you. And guess what? Those three were also conjunct by a difference of 1 degree Venus. And then we also had Fortuna at 14 degrees of Libra in the 2nd house. Okay, I don't know, like, if you understand 3, 4, 5 on the timer, what a big fucking deal this is. But we have 2 luminaries, 3 divine feminines, 3 karmics, and 2 that have to do with prosperity and abundance and wealth. Okay, like this is fate, this is destiny, this is a big effing deal in terms of the divine feminine for each and every single one of us. So I'm gonna need you to tap in. And the lesson that comes along with this, if you are not subscribed to the mysteries tier of my Substack newsletter, the channel, I would recommend going ahead and subscribing to it, because we talked about this and more in those newsletters. It is $11.11 to subscribe on a monthly basis, but if you get a yearly subscription, it is $111.11, and that means that you get 2 months for free. And if you do the founders membership, you also get you get a lot of freebies. So I would recommend, the link is down in the description box. I would recommend going and checking that out and like seeing more about like what works for you. You also can get a 7-day free trial just by subscribing to the channel itself. And the channel comes with monthly insights and readings, but we don't do the deep dive esoteric mysticism scholarship stuff. You don't get the decoding and all of this if you just do the channel. It's mainly personal essays that I write. But if you do subscribe to the mysteries, you get weekly insights based off of the astrology, as well as like downloads, decoding, esoteric mystical scholarship from yours truly, Vie Darling. And I would just really recommend it, especially if you're somebody who cannot necessarily afford to book a session with me regularly. If that is the case for you, I do offer discounts for marginalized identities, and also all of my services are sliding scale. So everything is accessible, as accessible as possible. But without much further ado, this is a really big deal. And what came up with this transit is letting go of the past, letting go of the like past frameworks and narratives. I did a reading that really, I spoke about this a lot yesterday. So go ahead and watch that. It was a cosmic tea. I think I called it Cosmic Tea, Run Like a Bat Out of Hell, because I kept saying that. So I would recommend to you like to go and watch that if you want a little bit more insight on this transit. But what kept coming up in my meditation, and what I know has come up with this transit specifically is, oh, my little ankle is feeling cray-cray, 656 on the timer. What kept coming up with that was letting go. So the questions that I ask in this reading are pertaining to letting go. And we ask, what are we letting go of? How can we best go about this? What do we replace it with? And who can help us be in service of this shift? Brass tacks, straight talk, real talk. You know, Vie Darling does not bullshit you ever, because I love you and I care about you and I want the best for you. So as Tea with Lady says, ain't nothing to it but to get to it. So let's go. We're using the Unsacred Oracle by Lilith and Gomez to get the answer to what are we letting go of, and it's daydreams in reverse. And I think that like this is really speaking to a lack of belief in, honestly, like what is possible, you know. And I would describe this as like dreams. If you have been just a little bit too pragmatic, a little bit too practical, if you're too much in your Saturn energy and too much in Earth energy and not enough in the energy of fantasy, we're letting go of that. And I'm looking at the chart. You don't have to be watching this when I am recording it, because this is a timeless reading. And this is going to apply, this information, this message is going to apply whenever your eyes come across this video. There is a message for you. But I am using the astrology of this reading to, of this transit, to be able to be of service to all of you. So, what's most interesting to me and what's standing out to me the most is it's going to be Pisces. For me, we have Jupiter, which is the ancient planetary ruler of Pisces, in the sign of Gemini, where it is in, I want to be sure, is it detriment or is it in fall? It is in detriment, so it is weakened. It's not nearly as weak as if it were in Capricorn, but it is definitely weakened all the same. And this can get us bogged down in myopic thinking, not being able to see the big picture, not being able to have not only a 360-degree vision, but like an eagle's eye point of view. I always think about it as, but what I'm really being shown right now is actually like a sphere. And if we are in the center of the sphere, you may even think about a 𝗪𝗂𝗃, and your 𝗪𝗂𝗃 field, you may be feeling like you are not attractive enough to what it is that you want out of life, or you may be in a space of thinking like, well, I don't have the means, or I don't see how I could ever like attain what it is I'm dreaming of, so that means that it's not possible. But I would encourage each and every single one of us to step out of that myopic thinking, because the fact of the matter is, you don't know even half of what there is to know in this universe. None of us do. We only have the perspective of our single human experience. Like, what is true for the fly is not necessarily true for the spider. Yes, there are some universal truths that are self-evident, but a spider experiences the world completely different than a fly. You understand? So what the spider knows, there is a lot of information that the spider knows that the fly does not know. That could be influential and impactful to the fly. So what I would encourage you to do is, instead of like focusing on what you don't have, or the lack, or the material circumstances that feel limiting to you, I would encourage you to expand your purview. And as I was saying, a sphere, think of yourself at the center of a sphere. Three-dimensional thinking, you're just thinking about the circle on that X plane, right? But what we need to start thinking about is four-dimensional, five-dimensional thinking, and that introduces the Y-axis and also the Z-axis, right? In the Emerald Tablets, 𝗪𝗻𝗁 Trismegistus talks about like traveling through the ethers on a curve instead of on hard lines, because when we're traveling on hard lines, and in corners, that's when the adversary, the hounds of hell, really, the psychopomps, can attack us and can get us. So we need to be traveling in round ways. And how do we do that? By not having such linear thinking. And I really feel like maybe Saturn is potentially having an ill effect on some of us. You might want to look at where Saturn is in your chart. But Saturn right now, as I look at the chart, is in the sign of, it's retrograde, it's in the sign of Pisces, and it's in the 7th house. We also have, and I did say I wanted to speak to Pisces, we also have Neptune retrograde in the sign of Pisces, where it is at home. It's at 28 degrees of Pisces, and Saturn is at 16 degrees of Pisces. We are going to look at the Sabian symbols, because that'll be very helpful. I think, therefore I am, JK, that's a little joke. Little jokey joke. 16 degrees and 18 degrees. All right, so Saturn's at 16 degrees right now, finding grace in stillness. An important part of our life practice is to find inner peace, connect here and now with the eternal everywhere. Any creative person is at the point of connectedness between the hidden source of inspiration, hidden source, be sure of that, and their immediate time and place. Each moment has its own unique qualities, scenarios, and needs, and inspiration can be found by those who have learned how to tune into the quietness that surrounds us always. Often called the muse or spirit guides or angels, there is some aware force of life that directs itself to address the questions of the moment in original ways. This can only happen when we have faith, the strength of character to make a new statement in the world, and the ability to concentrate and be quiet. 𝗪◂𝗪's assessment of this symbol is, in the quiet of their study, a creative individual experiences a flow of inspiration. So you may be feeling very uninspired right now, and I'm going to go ahead and encourage you to lean into new modes of consciousness. There might be things that you're missing in your immediate environment if you're not feeling inspired, and I would encourage you to approach these things from a space of curiosity rather than I already know everything that there is to know. Because when you think that you know everything that there is to know, you stop growing. When you stop growing, you get stagnant, and stagnancy leads to death. This takes us out of a place of our personal power and moves us into a place of feeling like we are at the behest of forces outside of ourselves. And yes, to some degree we are, but at the same time, we always have options of what we can do, okay? Even if we're in a moment of stillness, that is a perfect opportunity to turn inwards, perhaps do some soul searching, some navel gazing, some meditation, you know. Okay, so how can we best go about this? We get the Four of Wands from the Crystal Visions deck. This deck is a little bit like tricky for me because it's very Fae like and they are so tricky, the Fae, and they just love to be convoluted, I find, and this deck can be very convoluted. But with the Four of Wands energy here, I feel like, yeah, there's an illustrious, elusive muse that we are chasing, and we might feel like it is above us and beyond us. And I just get this sense with this card that they are kind of begging for this information. But looking at this horse as a Sagittarius, we're talking a lot about Jupiter energy, Jupiterian energy. This to me is like one is asking for immediate gratification when really what the big payoff that we're looking for is delayed gratification. It is derived from rigorous investment and investment of time and energy. I don't want to use the word work because I think that can be misconstrued in this society, being as it is very capitalistic. And this is, welcome to the Aetherium. In cosmic wellness, it is this spiritual practice that I am pioneering here in the Aetherium. It is built on a foundation of spiritual abolition, which is decolonial in nature. So we are very much anti-capitalism here. And, you know, with that being said, sorry, I just wanted to look at something really quickly. With that being said, I want to say investing our time, our energy, our non-renewable resources, as well as like our liquid resources, our money, etc. And it's something that's worth having. It's something that's worth fighting for. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like so many people take the easy way out because they're just too afraid of not getting what they want. They're afraid of rejection, they're afraid of failure. And so they don't even try, they don't even dare to dream, if you will. And Four of Wands is saying, like, I feel like there might be things in your past that have encoded you with like this fear. Going back to this Piscean energy that is up here, this fear of failure, fear of rejection. And the fact of the matter is, like, if you actually sit down and assess everything that you have done in the past, every experience that you've had, there are things that you can learn from those experiences, and it isn't to just give up. Because if the lesson was for you to just give up the first time that you don't get what you want, you would just die. Why would you even still be alive if that were the lesson? Every fucking moment that, excuse me, I cuss over here, so it is what it is. Every fucking moment that you exist, that you are breathing, that you are alive, is an opportunity for you to get closer to whatever it is that you're dreaming of. And the song Closer to My Dreams, I think that's what it's called. It's by 𝗂𝗧𝗄𝗧. My voice is fucked. I was really sick last week, and honestly, like, my throat chakra is still like fucked up right now. I am not even gonna bother to try to sing. I need to do a bevy of like vocal exercises before my shit is back, like even close to where I want it to be right now. I think I'm also dehydrated, but that's a story for another day. But it's like, I'm getting higher and higher, closer to my dreams. Ring of Fire solar eclipse. By the way, we're entering the solar eclipse window. You may have been feeling this energy, especially if you're watching this when I'm recording it. Getting higher and higher, closer to my 𝗂𝗧𝗄𝗧. I might be saying that wrong. The whole album is called that, and then I want to hear the song Closer to My Dream, running over me, I'm getting higher, closer to my dream, I'm getting higher and higher, feel it in my sleep. Sometimes it feels like I'll never grow past it. Sometimes it feels like I'm stuck forever, ever. I might also encourage you to watch Andre 3000's interview or discussion on Rick Rubin and Malcolm Gladwell's podcast, and he talks about what it's like to achieve his dream and what it feels like to be on the other side of that, like what you were working towards forever. It is possible. People have achieved it. And let me tell you something, there are hella talented people out here, okay? I know people who are talented AF, can sing their ass off, but they don't do anything with it. They don't make any effort towards their career. They don't do anything, and like they never achieve it. Yet you have people out here who are not talented. I'm hearing untalented swine, actually, and they don't do anything. I mean, yeah, people who are like, perhaps, you know, they have some talent, but not a natural virtuoso, perhaps, but they work their ass off at it, and they invest so much time and energy into it. And for this reason, they actually get, you know, further along in their pursuit of what it is that they are attempting to achieve, because they actually work towards it. What comes easy and natural to us, you know, we tend to take for granted. But if you really want it as bad as you say that you want it, then, you know, why should you have a problem? 1717 on the timer. Why do you have a problem with actually like working towards it? You might also benefit from watching my Lionsgate portal, pick a card, and or energy cosmic tea that I did. This might relate to the 8/8 Lionsgate portal. You may be around the Lionsgate portal watching this, but all that to say, like, if you really want it, why are you upset that you need to make an effort for it? You know what I mean? Like, the journey is also part of the reward, you know? So, yeah, I don't know. It's like dating, right? If you're courting somebody, a part of the joy of getting into a relationship with somebody, it should be the courting process. You know, it should be the courting, like getting to know somebody aspect of it. But, you know, I feel like a lot of people these days are complaining about, oh, like not meeting people and things like this. And I feel like a big part of it is that they're not willing to like put themselves out there and put aside their ego and make an effort, not even so much in like paying for dates or like, you know, whatever, any of those material, what have you things. More so, I think that it is sacrificing one's ego. I think that's actually the biggest thing that I see when I actually look at like dating culture these days, and in my own life, and also in the lives of my friends and people that I see. It's like people are not willing to sacrifice their egos to get what it is that they want. A lot of people are very entitled. They think that they don't need to make an effort to get what it is that they want, and it should just like come easy to them. But you know what, in esoteric mysticism, in alchemy, we understand that nothing worth having is easily gotten. Let me tell you something. The relationships that I just kind of fell into them, especially this one relationship, like I just really fell into that relationship. I didn't even really want it that much, but I liked the attention. So it was just like, okay, fine, whatever. I hated that relationship. I honestly hated the person that I was dating. Like, they liked me. I didn't even like them. They were such an asshole towards me. Like, it was not worth having, and it was very easily gotten. Very, very easily gotten. Okay? And thinking about like the times when I've actually like invested energy into a relationship and like acquiring something that I really wanted. Yeah, I would say honestly, the times that I did invest energy into like getting a relationship that I really wanted, I still was, if it didn't happen, one, it was the wrong person, because I definitely did not know how to pick them in the past, and I definitely went for emotionally unavailable people because I myself was emotionally unavailable. But two, like, I was not willing to sacrifice my ego. I was not willing to face myself truly, and like, you know, I did what I could at the moment. Like, I did what I could with what I had at the time. As somebody who's recovering from like codependency and also narcissistic abuse, and you know, there's a lot of, I have CPTSD. There's a lot of fear that was associated with like being in relation to other people, and I had to transcend that. So I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, like it was a total shit show because like I was so terrible or whatever. Like, that's simply not true. Like, we're growing and we're learning. But this is the point of what I'm saying, especially with this Four of Wands energy. Like, besides all of that, did I sit here and be like, oh, I'm not ever gonna date again, I give up forever? No, I did not. Yes, I did stop dating for a period of time, but in that period of time, I was working on myself and becoming a better person and like healing from the trauma that was serving as a barrier to being able to connect with others for me. And then when I got to like another level of that, it's like, okay, well, I know who, oh, Nine of Pentacles in reverse just popped out here. Well, I know what I'm not. Like, yes, I had to completely do like so much work to deconstruct all of those unhealthy structures, and the internalization of institutions of oppression and marginalization and exploitation that existed within me, that took me out of my power and put me into relationships that did not serve me, but only served to drain and take away from me. And you can put this as it applies. It doesn't only have to be to love and romance. It can also be, you know, professional, like financial relationships, familial relationships, platonic relationships, you feel me? But then I also, like, when I raised my standards, of course, the pool of people that I was like interested in or like willing to actually engage went down. If like, one of the things that I have as a standard is like, if you're not in therapy right now, that's one thing, but if you're not willing to get into therapy, I will not date you, period. Point blank, period. That's not gonna happen. If you're not willing to go to therapy, that's not gonna happen, period. There are other things like, if you're not trauma informed, nope, not gonna happen. And a lot of people are not, and they're not willing to be, because a lot of people are not willing to face themselves and do the spiritual, emotional, mental work that is required to grow in the ways that I need for a partner to be. You understand what I mean? And yes, there have been times when I've been like, you know what? I'm gonna just settle for somebody that, like, not settle for somebody in a relationship capacity, but like, you know, casual dating, hookup, whatever. I'm gonna just do that, and like, I don't need them to be as emotionally aware or intelligent as I am or whatever. The fact of the matter is that wouldn't work. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna fucking happen because I'm too self-aware to self-betray like that. You know what I mean? So even in terms of like jobs and things like this, like, I cannot work in a corporate 9-to-5 setting. It's not gonna happen. It is not going to happen. I've tried, okay? It's not gonna happen for me. So why waste time investing my precious time and energy, which is a non-renewable resource? I cannot get that time back. Why would I waste time investing my energy, my focus, my attention into all of that? It doesn't make any sense. Give me just a second. Yeah, so distractions. Yeah, it's a distraction. It's a fucking distraction. It's a fucking distraction. And that is because so many of us are afraid of success. We complain that we don't have success, that we're not getting what we want. But the fact of the matter is, like, so many of us are afraid of actually getting what we want. And instead of doing the work to like disabuse ourselves of that fear, to push past our fear by being courageous and facing ourselves, we just like find excuses and reasons why, you know, it didn't happen for us. Listen, 4 of Wands energy. You have to show up as your higher self in order to like achieve those higher timelines. If you're not willing to give up who you were and what you were to get what you want, then you're just not going to get it, period. So how can we best go about this is like be courageous. Be courageous. Like, be brave and stop being afraid of quote unquote failure. Successful people know that you fall down and you get back up. Word to 𝗪𝗻 or whoever sings that song. I think it's 𝗪𝗻. I don't think it's Kirk Franklin. What is that song? We fall down and we get up, but a saint is just a sinner who fell down and got up. Okay? Like, do not be so entitled to think that you are somehow going to be different from every other 8 billion people on the planet, where you don't have to go through the growth journey to come out the other side transformed and transmuted, you know, into a higher version of yourself. If we're going from iron to gold, how do you think you go from iron to gold? You don't go from iron to gold by just being like, well, I'm gold now because I want to be. No, you have to go through the alchemical process, the transmutational experience, and you have to be broken down completely and be rebuilt in this alchemical fire, this celestial heavenly purification fire. And if you're not willing to go through that, if you're not willing to humble yourself, if you're not willing to have your ass handed to you, well, I just don't know what to tell you. You're not going to get it. Point blank, period. There's no way around it. I know that there's a lot of people who advertise themselves as manifestation gurus out here who will tell you otherwise. They're liars. That's all cap, 100% point blank, period. That is cap, my friend. That there's no way. There's absolutely no way. I'm gonna turn this camera this way because I'm like looking at myself. I need to be looking in the camera. No, it just seems that I can't stop looking. I'm looking at the face and it's just like, it's giving all it needs to give. Vie Darling with the red hair. Yes, Ginger V, it's working for us. But that's besides the point. It's actually because like, I think my brain wants to look at another person as opposed to like looking at a camera, which is weird. Because I'm not looking at anybody. That's weird to me. I apologize if that's also disconcerting for anybody, but the point is, I think that's also part of it, is like, we have to be willing to look at ourselves. You know, I'm going to give a trigger warning. I'm not going to even say what the trauma is, but I am going to talk about trauma. That is deep and thoroughgoing, very specialized trauma, very, 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 very fucked up trauma that I have experienced throughout my life. 29 on the timer. And this form of trauma, I now have a community of people who can show up and support me in healing past this trauma. And I know that I don't need to be ashamed. I know that I don't need to have fear, because I'm not the one who did these things. Like, I was victimized, right? And there was a couple weeks ago, like around the Aquarius full moon, I think it was, I had a lot of memories coming up from the period in which I was experiencing this trauma. And I was experiencing so much shame. I did not want to sit with it. I did not want to feel it. I did not want to claim it. It doesn't matter if I claim it or not. It happened. It's real, and it's in my body, and it's in my psyche and my subconscious. And what I did is, instead of like running away from it, although I very much feel like I like really sped through it, I still talked to my mentor who I work around this trauma with. I wrote her what it was that I was feeling so much shame about, and I sent it to her, put my phone down on its face because I had to distance myself from it, but I still faced it. I still told someone that is still real, and I admitted it, and I told another person as well, and I got out ahead of it. Right now, it no longer is ruling me, even if it's just 1 iota, even if it's just 1 degree, even if it's just 1%. It is no longer controlling me, what I'm able to do, what I'm able to say, who I'm able to talk to, where I'm able to go. It's not controlling my life. 31 on the timer. Even if it's just 1 single iota of control and power that I take back for myself, that is still better than allowing my fear to rule me. I am the essence of who I am. I am the divine spark, that divine dewdrop of creative essence that the Most High Divine Creator imbibed me with, used to make me. That's what I am. I am not my fears. I am not what happened to me. I'm not what I've experienced. I'm not what others have done to me. I get to choose who I am, because our character is the sum of our actions. I get to choose each and every single day and each and every single moment who I am. And I tell you what I'm not, 3223 on the timer, mirroring. I don't allow other people's projections to rule me anymore. And maybe people don't like me so much because I'm not such a fucking pushover doormat anymore. But I want what I fucking want out of life. So I show up in that energy, knowing that the quantum physical universe is a reflection, and it's going to give that back to me, perhaps in ways that I don't expect. Perhaps it is going to show up in a lesson that like I have to learn in order to get what it is I want. But I want what I want so fucking badly, and I'm not going to stop until I get it. And some of y'all need to know that. Some of y'all need to decide, like, okay, am I really about this life? Am I really about what I say I'm about? Am I really who I say that I am? It's like this, yo. It's a lot of people out here who say that they're about their religion, but they don't walk in that walk. Okay, I'll speak 33, 22, 32, 33, 23. It's a lot of people out here who, I'll speak to Christianity because I grew up as a Christian. I do not identify as a Christian anymore. I don't do major religion, but a big part of what I didn't fuck with in Christianity is it's a lot of people who 3344 talk this talk, but they don't God walk at all. They do not walk by the principles of Yeshua. They do not walk by his teachings. They do not enact that shit in what they do and what they say. 3355, and yet and still you want to sit here and say that you're a Christian? That makes me sick. And you know what? I guarantee you it would have made Yeshua sick, because did he not speak out against hypocrisy? Hypocrisy is the truest, realest of sins. Did he not speak out against the Sadducees and the Pharisees? Was that not why he was killed as an enemy of the state? Oh, right, exactly. So are you really about what you say you're about? Are you really willing to die? You don't have to die a real death. You don't have to make a blood sacrifice. No, you sacrifice your ego. You put your ego on the line in order to get what it is that you know is your birthright and your inheritance, and that is a life worth living, that is fulfillment. But if you're not willing to do it for you, why the fuck would you think that anybody else is willing to give it to you? Why should anybody else? They shouldn't, in fact, because that's a bad investment. That's a bad deal. Why should I invest in you? You're not even willing to invest in yourself. That doesn't make any sense. Straight talk, for real. That's on some Saturn auntie shit. Dead ass. You feel me? So that's what it is. Four of Wands. How can we best go about this? Like, you gotta get real with yourself. I keep it real from my head down to my toes with myself. You feel me? Nobody can rinse me, because between me and God, like, that's who I'm in service of. That's who I'm talking to constantly. I am constantly in conversation with my higher power. My higher power says jump, I say how high. I might not do it immediately, but what I will do is I will pray for the strength and the willingness to do it eventually, and I will not stop until I do it. And this is why I experience serenity, and this is why I experience joy, because I'm willing to go the extra mile on some Hercules shit. I'm willing to go the extra mile, 555 on the timer, to experience what it is that my God has promised to me. And I'll tell you what, I know miracles are real. I know that this manifestation shit works, because I've done it. I've seen it work in my life time and again. If it's not working for you, it's probably because this colonial idea of manifestation that doesn't require shadow work, that doesn't require sacrifice. That's how the universe works. You got to put something in to get something out, baby. Period. Cause and effect. That's a Newtonian principle. Law of motion, law of physics, okay? And this is also a Hermetic principle. This is how the quantum universe works. And you are no different from anybody else, that you don't have to sacrifice in order to get what you want out of life. Understand that. So how can we best go about this? That's how. And I tell you the truth because I love you. Nobody who actually loves and cares about you is going to sit here and lie to you and coddle you and dick ride so that you will continue to give them your money, your clout, your likes, your views, this, that, and the other thing. Nobody who truly loves you, nobody who's a real one, is going to hide from you the truth so that they can keep you in their pocket to be able to exploit and use you. I don't need any of that shit. My job is to be a truth teller. My job is as an oracle. So you like it, you don't like it, I'm still doing my job, and I'm still gonna reap the benefits, period. Okay, so it's real talk over here in the Aetherium. And that's how we know it's unconditional love and unconditional truth. Crystallines, especially if you're a crystalline, like, you gotta keep it real, 100%, 10 toes down, all the fucking time. And what do we replace it with? After the Rain, from my Rose Oracle deck by Rebecca Campbell. I absolutely love Rebecca Campbell's Oracle decks. This deck, as you can see, the cover is all worn out because I've had this deck for years. I think I got this deck in 2018 in London. I think I was there in no, this was January 2020 I got this deck, I want to say. No, it had to have been before that. I don't remember, but I got this deck in London. Yeah, I think it was 2020, January 2020, and this deck changed my life. It changed my practice, and it shifted my consciousness in the most miraculous of ways. I cannot speak highly enough of the work that Rebecca Campbell does. This is the Work Your Light Oracle deck, and I absolutely love Rebecca, the work that she does. So I would highly recommend, if you like this deck, going and buying it. I'm not being paid for this. I just genuinely love it. After the rain, silver lining, relief, hope, mercy, it's over, acceptance. And this is to speak about hope. You know, like, if you know that you're investing, that you've put in the work, that you're doing all of it, yeah, it might not happen on your timetable, but you have to like, maybe this is really what it comes down to. I feel like a lack of faith, a lack of faith because you might have a broken contract with your higher power, but that means that it's time for you to find a new higher power. Like I said, I don't identify as a Christian. I don't know if I ever even did. I was born into it. I was christened as a baby. I did a confirmation because I had to. I was baptized a lot of times, 4004 on the timer, because I had to be. Like, it wasn't something that I chose, but I knew that whatever was going on in the churches that I was going to, I didn't want to be a part of that because it did not sit right with my soul. It did not sit right with like my actual like higher self. So, you know, as a queer person, it's just like, also like, I'm experiencing abuse. I'm experiencing homophobia and queer phobia, like, and ultimately also transphobia. Like, I'm experiencing like all of these different forms of marginalization. I hate my life. Like, so if you are talking about this God that like y'all fuck with, who clearly doesn't fuck with me, fuck them. I'm gonna go find what works for me. You know what I mean? And that's what I did. And it is a lifelong journey. But, you know, over the course of time, I was a teenager back then. I still hadn't even graduated from high school. Over the course of time, I have developed a relationship, 111 on the timer, new beginnings. I have developed a relationship with a higher power of my understanding that I, you know, sometimes I do lack faith. I'll be real with you. I woke up today and I was in a big space of lacking faith and a sense of demoralization. And I knew that if I meditated and I did a reading and I was of service and I tapped in to spirit and I did the things to connect with my higher power that I know is unconditionally loving and unconditionally real with me, I knew that if I did that, my spirits would be lifted. And can I tell you what? They have been. I heard what I needed to hear in the ethers when I meditated before I started this reading. And I am hearing what I need to hear every time I sit here and I do a reading for y'all or for one of my clients. I get so much out of it. So, like, what I'm telling you to replace it with is a relationship to a higher power of your understanding that you can trust implicitly and explicitly. And no, that doesn't happen overnight. But I'll tell you what, for me, all of the work that I've put in to develop this relationship with my higher power has only given me a stronger relationship with my higher power. I want to cry right now because there are no words. My younger self could not imagine the life that I'm living right now. And no, it doesn't look materially exactly what I want it to look like. I don't have everything that I want to have, nor do I have everything that has been promised to me if I fulfill my end of my deal with my higher power, which also includes my higher self. No, I don't have all of those things, but what I do have is a relationship to a higher power that, whereas I was at most always half full, regardless of the fact that I have practiced magic my entire life, I have had supernatural abilities my entire life, my relationship to my higher power, as it continues to grow and develop over time, I now experience overflow. Like, I'll tell you, last Thanksgiving, I spent last Thanksgiving alone in my apartment, and well, I lived alone at that time, and I've never felt less alone in my life, though, because one, I spent it in community, in virtual, like online, with other primarily indigenous people or people of indigenous descent. And I made a feast for my ancestors, angels and guides. I poured libations. My altar was overflowing with food for myself and for my ancestors. And my room was full of people, like my ancestors, angels and guides, as well as like other people's ancestors come to my altar. Like, you know, I mean, other people's ancestors worship me. So there's also that, you know, like I felt so like full and warm and held and loved in the spirit. It didn't matter what was going on in the material world, because in the spirit is what matters. That is the real world. That is the first frontier, and everything else is a manifestation of that. So if I'm not right within, it's not ever gonna, nothing. I have been surrounded by people who said who called themselves my friends, 444 on the timer, who had the nerve to say they were my friends. They did not love me because they don't love themselves. They don't even know what love is, 4455 on the timer. They don't even know what love is. You want to fix your mouth to say that you're in love with me. You don't even love yourself. How could you be in love with me? How many times has that happened to me? I can tell you a lot, and it's always very annoying. You're not in love with me. You're not even in love with yourself. You know what I mean? Like, you don't love me for me as a friend. You love me for what I provide to you. How many times people have told me, V, you're my best friend. You're the best friend I've ever had. And I can't even say the same back because they're not a good friend. And I'm just treating them as I would treat anybody, with decency, unconditional love and respect, reciprocity, you know, care, listening to what they have to say, but they can't give that back to me. But I'll tell you what, 4545 on the timer. I'll tell you what though, since I started investing in my spiritual practice and my relationship with my higher power, and 4554 on the timer, and my relationship with my higher self, and my lower selves, healing and integrating my lower selves, my inner children. Since I started doing that work to come into wholeness, this is what we mean when we talk about, when a real one talks about a true crystalline, someone who truly embodies Christ consciousness, who truly God walks through life, who truly lives by these principles. When we talk about the Holy Spirit, it is a wholly integrated spirit. It is all that is. The I am, the embodying of your I am presence. All that is. I am accepting myself and loving myself for all of it. Not just the parts of me that I like, not just the parts of me that other people like, all of it. Even the parts that like have brought me so much shame. And that doesn't happen overnight, as I said, but over time you come to develop a relationship with a power that is greater than yourself. And in order to do that, you cannot sit here and think, 4656 on the timer, you can't sit here and think that you are the end all be all, because you're not. None of us are. I said I'm a God on earth, a deity incarnate. And I'll tell you what, some of the most powerful shamans of the lineage that I practice in continental Africa have said that, multiple. So I don't doubt what I know to be true or who I know myself to be, point blank, period. And yet I don't sit here and say that I'm the end all be all, I know it all, like you gotta worship me, no, none of that. You can be the chosen one of your lineage. You can be an earth angel. You can be star seed, what have you. It doesn't, all that. And if you don't understand that there are powers greater than you, if you don't understand the value and the gravity, 4747 on the timer, of all that is, you will never come into wholeness. And you will never experience true serenity. You will never experience true peace. And if you can't experience serenity and peace, you can't experience joy. So what do we replace it with? We replace it with spiritual, with faith, with a relationship to a power greater than ourselves that fills us up so that we're overflowing. The well may have run dry time and time again, but that's because of looking for external validation. We forget the river. You don't need to go to this well or that well or this well or that well when you can go straight to the source, the living waters, high heart chakra. And if your heart is broken and you're not doing the work to heal a broken heart, how can you mend a broken heart? Originally by the Bee Gees, but made most popular, I think, by Al Green. How can you mend a broken heart? Through love, unconditional. You got to channel it through you and all that you do. Okay, and if you don't experience that, you can't experience joy. And so I would also recommend, in a practical sense, you know, one, going where it's warm. Find the people who actually, like, when you're with them, you experience joy. You experience true joy, unbridled joy, enthusiasm, excitement, laughter. You can be your most authentic self with them. The most impactful relationships that I've had in my life were because at the time I thought I could be my truest self with them. I could unmask with them. I could be my weird, quirky, freaky little neurodivergent self, and like they understood my sense of humor and we just laughed at the dumbest shit. Like, I didn't need to be the cool girl or the cool person. Like, I didn't need to be any of that. You know what I mean? And as I grow and develop in my understanding of self, like, I don't need to make myself smaller. People, places, things, institutions, you know, whatever relationship to anything, that I don't need to make myself smaller. I don't need to kowtow to your weak ass ego. I don't need to, because you do that for yourself, just like I do that for myself. If I'm feeling, first of all, I don't experience jealousy because I'm Vie Darling. What the fuck do I gotta be jealous about? You know, and there's plenty of things that I want in this world, and there's plenty of people who have it, and I'm not jealous of them. You know what I mean? And that, I just don't experience that, if I'm being honest. Sometimes, like, it's really just more so that feeling of, like, abandonment, where it's like, why am I not getting what I know, like, I've earned? I feel that, but I don't feel like I hate that person because they have what I want. Because I know that I'm highly capable of getting anything that I want. You know what I mean? And so 5115 on the timer. I don't hang out with jealous people. I do my best, rather. I don't invest in relationships with envious people. I don't invest in relationships with insecure people, people who don't like themselves. Like I said, I'll be real, like, it's not as if I haven't gotten offers from people who, like, on paper, great. Jobs on paper, great. Like, romantic partners on paper, great. They're famous, they got money, you know, they're hella attractive, but they don't love themselves. And so how are you gonna love me? You can't be a good partner to me because you don't love yourself. That's gotta be, like, boilerplate. You know what I mean? That has to be boilerplate. So if you are, like, I don't fuck with people who also, like, if you're magical and you deny your magic, I don't even want to be near you, quite honestly. Like, I don't want to even be near you because that's dangerous. I say this all the time. I'm not really interested in, like, friendships, if you will, with mundanes, any kind of relationship with mundanes, because they don't even believe in me. They don't even believe that I exist. Like, I can't be my full self, right? So also, what else is there to being your full self? This is why I've been talking about hobbies a lot. And I think that hobbies are seriously, like, they are a very, very, there's something that the universe is really communicating to me to communicate to all of you. I have these hobbies because I love these things and I'm interested in them. They make me feel good about myself. I find fulfillment in them, and they keep me from self-harming. If I'm being very honest, the idle mind is the devil's playground. So I may as well distract myself with things that bring me joy rather than things that keep me stagnant, ciphering around the fucking merry-go-round of bullshit that I don't even want in my life. You feel me? Like, it was Groundhog's Day, pretty much. Like, I did not have any fulfilling relationships when my number one hobby was smoking weed, you know, and going to parties and like being cool. But I do experience, I may not have as many quote unquote friends as I used to. I may not have the same level of clout that I used to. Like, my life is very, very different, and that's fine because I'm having to rebuild from scratch. But I have peace and I have joy, and like the relationships that I do have are so fucking fulfilling. Like, I truly, that is true love. And I actually can see a future with these people, whereas like I was constantly trying to fit square pegs into round holes, you know, and that just doesn't work. So when we accept life for life on life's terms, when we accept life for what it is instead of trying to make it into something that it's not, we are actually able to, and I just saw 543 on the timer, 444, 5445. Like, I'm actually able to experience, like, I'm actually able to build something solid, you know, and I can believe in miracles now because miracles are a way of life for me. And you got to find out what it is that makes you feel that way. Okay. Like, yeah, I'm not like rolling in the money at this point in time, but I told my friend yesterday, I was like, yeah, I just wanted to have a very nice day yesterday. I felt like I deserved it. I was sick for a week, like experiencing other uncomfortable things, and showing up for all of my responsibilities despite all of that. And so I put on a look, I served a look, I made a little cute, you know, vibe for myself. One of my hobbies is fancy beverages. I went and I got myself a fancy beverage from this place that I've been wanting to try out for a while. And it was delicious. Let me tell you, it was the ambiance, it was the vibe that I've been wanting, that I feel I deserve. This is a scene, 555 on the timer, a scene that I want to see myself in more of these experiences. I want to see myself in more of these scenes. Before I did that, I did my nails. Like, I may not have money to spend on going to the nail salon every 3 to 6 weeks, but like, my nails were done, body waxed, okay, hair did, looking cute as fuck, right? And it may not be the luxurious like experiences that I want for myself and that I have had in the past. Yes, I have had them in the past. But like I said, like, you know, when on Christ the solid rock I stand, on other ground is sinking sand. If I'm not building on a foundation of unconditional love and unconditional truth, it's a shoddy foundation. It's sticks and it's hay. And when the storm comes in and the big bad wolf comes and blows and blows and blows, it's gonna blow my house down. But when I build on a solid foundation of bricks, let's say, if I build on a solid foundation of unconditional love and unconditional truth, it doesn't matter if it takes how long it takes, because I'm still protected. Like I said, 10 toes down. You know what I mean? And it's a process, it's a journey that is giving me each of those bricks. The bricks have to be made, and like the cement has to be laid, and that shit has to be put down in order for the house to be erected. It doesn't just happen. You feel me? Like, it takes time. And guess what? In that story, the two other little pigs, they were laughing, kikiing, joking, clowning on the pig who took their time to use the best materials possible, invested their time and energy. Oh, we're already done. We already built our house. Why are you doing all that? Like, what have you? Talking a lot of bullshit, trash, smack, right? But then when hard times came, and when the adversary came, and when the storm hit, what happened? Where did they end up? They ended up running to the person that they were talking shit about. And let me tell you, especially if you're watching when I record this, especially based on the placement, the transit that inspired me to make this reading, the storm is coming. The storm is not coming. The storm is here. The revolution is here. The times of revelation are here. The time of harvest that they talk about in Matthew, I believe it is chapter 16. If you're not subscribed to the mysteries tier of my newsletter, the channel on Substack, I would recommend to you to go subscribe to it. I would recommend do the 7-day free trial and read it, because I went in last week's reading. I went the fuck in, and we decoded that aspect of the good grimoire, as I like to call it, the Lightworkers Codex. The time of harvest is here. It is upon us. This is like what you might consider Passover, when the spirit of Sekhmet came up, the spirit of death is what it was called, but you know, it is the Saturnian spirit came across the land of Egypt in Kemet. And those who hadn't sacrificed a lamb and put the blood of the lamb above their door, the first son died. Well, it's going to be a lot worse than that. And I can guarantee you of that. All of my prophecies from 2020 that have been about that have already come to pass. It is the time of revelations. Make no mistake about it. It's not going to look like what literal thinkers are thinking it's going to look like. And if you don't know how to decode the good grimoire, if you don't understand esoteric mysticism, go subscribe to my Substack. Go subscribe to the Medium. I mean, the mysteries, because I do know how. I have over 2 decades worth of scholarly pursuit of occultism, esoteric mysticism, theology, not sociology, but in the realm of spirit and the occult and the ethereal. I have over 2 decades worth of research, and that is no cap. So I can break it down for you. It's here, it's happening. They're all gonna come running to you, asking you 010101 fucking, I can't make it up. I can't make it up, family. Like, they're all gonna come running to you, begging you for help, asking you what to do next. And you probably have already experienced things like this. You know, like, for me, it was people would like discount my weirdness or like my trauma informedness or my understanding of mysticism, but in front of other people, because they didn't want to be seen as weird. They didn't want to live in their truth. But as soon as like we're behind closed doors, or as soon as shit hits the fan and they're depressed or they got a spiritual problem, oh, I'm gonna go run to Vie Darling and like ask them, because I know that they're nice and they're gonna forgive me for being a fucking dickhead. Not anymore though. Not anymore. And then they do it for free, or they expect I'm gonna do it for free. You feel me? That's how you get your shit rocked in the spirit world, by the way. But yeah, like, I guarantee you that the people who clowned you for going your own way, I'm wearing my Fleetwood Mac rumors shirt, you can go your own way, you can call it another lonely day. Like, the people who clowned you listen, exactly, Noah's Ark. They clown Noah for his ark, right? And also, I want to point out something that feels really important. Nourishing was Noah's sister. If you only know the ecumenical Bible, you wouldn't know this. But this, I believe, is in the Midrashic texts of the Torah. It might be in, it's in the Midrash, I'm pretty sure. But Noah had a sister named Nourishing, and he refused to let her on the ark. So she screamed, and her scream had like solar powers, and her scream burned his ark down, and he had to build another ark. Fun fact, which feels very important to share. Some of you might be dark divine feminine. Some of you might identify as part of the Lilith collective. You might identify as part of the Persephone collective. Yeah, if so, I would encourage you to go and look into the story of Norea, Norea, when she called out, because I believe that she was actually being accosted by the archons. She called out because she knew the secret name. And she called out, an 𝗪𝗏, one of the luminaries, there are 4 luminaries, 𝗪𝗏, saved her. So go look up that story if you don't know it. But yo, everybody was clowning on Noah, right? But wasn't it Noah and his family who survived and everybody else died? Everybody was clowning on Lot, and everybody was misbehaving and acting wild and being disgusting. Well, you know the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. They were trying to SA angels, right? But Lot didn't let them. Lot stood in righteousness, and he continued. And he went with his family, and him and his family survived the destruction of those corrupt cities. So, and then his wife was told not to look back. She looked back, and what happened? 444 on the timer. She became a pillar of salt. This might be having to do with familial karma. You know what I mean? Like karma that's not even yours, but like you picked it up through indoctrination, like cultural stuff that like you went against, and you may have in your family been an outcast, a black sheep, a scapegoat, what have you, chosen one. You may have been made to feel inferior, made to feel bad because you went against the grain and you did what was unconventional. And if that is the case, let me tell you something. Don't give a fuck. Point blank, period. Don't give a fuck, because guess what? You're the one who survives. You're the one. And also think about it. I want you to connect this, especially like for those of who are actually esoteric scholars. I want you to connect the story of Noah and his ark to the story that opens the emerald tablets of 𝗪𝗻𝘁 𝗱𝗫, the emerald tablets of Thoth, the Atlantean. What is happening in the beginning of the emerald tablets? 𝗪𝗻𝘁 𝗱𝗫 is on his ship with his 166 on the timer, with his family, fleeing a dying world. You put 2 and 2 together. I gave you all the pieces. You got to put it together for yourself. Have faith. Ye of little faith. I did a reading yesterday where I read that verse. And let's just go over it one more time, because maybe you need to hear it again. I know I do, because listen, it's okay to feel demoralized sometimes. If you are on a sacred journey, if you are on a sacred path, you're gonna feel fucking demoralized sometimes, because sometimes it is the whole world is fucking standing against you, and you gotta walk all by yourself through the wilderness and have 40 days of fucking temptation and fasting, and you gotta stay 10 toes down. How are you gonna do that? The only way that you're gonna do that is through your relationship to a power greater than yourself. I don't care what you call that power greater to yourself, or how you access that power greater than yourself. But if it gets you to where you gotta go, which is to the high heart chakra, if it gets you to the healing, if it gets you to wholeness, infinite waters flowing through you, words of tarot on decks, if it gets you through to where you gotta go, to the gates which are opening with this eclipse season that we are in right now, if it gets you through, then that's what it is for you. It's between you and your higher power. It's not between you and me. Okay? So let us go to Matthew. I think it is peut-être c'est d'ici 6? No. Which one is it? It's in the Beatitudes, so it's like, is it 13? The Sermons on the Mount. Yeah, so you're gonna want to read chapter 13, I think, Matthew chapter 13. If you don't want to subscribe, it's $11.11 a month. It is $111.11. If you get a yearly subscription, that means that you get 2 months for free. But if you can't afford that, if you're not interested in that, read Matthew 13. Why am I not finding it? Parables of the Kingdom. Come on. Okay, I think I'm getting to it. This is annoying. I apologize, my loves. 6. Well, I went to 6 and I didn't. Why am I in Luke? Maybe that's what's going on. No, now I'm in. Somebody doesn't want me to read this, but I'm going to. Yes, exactly. I must have been in the wrong, like, book somehow. Hear me and hear me well, my friends. No person can serve two masters, for either they shall hate the one and love the other, or else they will hold to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God and mammon. Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what ye shall eat, or what ye shall drink, nor yet for your body, what ye shall put on. Is not the life more than meat, and the body than raiment? Behold the fowls of the air, for they sow not, neither do they reap, nor gather into barns, yet your divine Creator feedeth them. Are ye not much better than they? Which of you by taking thought can add 1 cubit unto their stature? Confirmation burp. And why take ye thought for raiment? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. And yet I say unto you, that even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. Wherefore, if God so clothe the grass of the field, which today is, and tomorrow is cast into the oven, shall God not much more clothe you, O ye of little faith? Therefore take no thought, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or wherewithal shall we be clothed? For after all these things do the Gentiles seek. And like I said in the last video that I recorded, 111 on the timer, in my culture, I'm Liberian, first generation American. In our spiritual practice, which is like, specifically in the 𝗵𝗄 and the Sunday societies, they call non-believers sinners. Non-believers in our thing, not institutional religion. So whatever it is to believe, they also would have called a non-Christian heathens, whatever you want to call it. For after all these things do the non-believers seek. For your divine Creator knoweth that ye have need of all these things. But seek ye first the domain of the divine and their righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Take therefore no thought for the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. I will just say this again. Which of you by taking thought can add 1 cubit unto their stature? 1, 2, 3, 4 on the timer. Which of you by worrying about how tall you are, let's say, are going to make yourself taller? O ye of little faith. Trust and believe in the message that has been put in your heart, the promise that has been given unto you. You know this promise. It is the contract that you made, the commitment that you made when you incarnated into the earth plane. Who can help us be in service of this shift? 7 of Cups in reverse. Not that old way of thinking and not those karmic relationships. I'm hearing, what is that song called by 𝘂𝗍 that starts, my voice is fucked right now. Love, love, long as we got, what is that song? Long as we got down with these, I don't trust these. Well, I'm hearing that song by 𝘂𝗍that starts when she's like, love, whatever. I gotta do my vocal exercise. I gotta restart doing that today because like it's not giving what it needs to give. If it's not giving love, unconditional, it's not giving what it needs to give, and it's karmic, and you need to break that cycle. Say goodbye. If you don't feel fulfilled, 11411 on the timer. If you don't feel fulfilled, if you're not, if you have to bend over backwards, as opposed to, if you have to step out of alignment, if you have to step out of your integrity for this relationship, it's not giving what it needs to give, and it never will. Who's going to help you with this? Ask your great gods, guides, and angels. I mean, great gods, guides, and ancestors. Ask your, you know, like the people who spark joy. I can't say it any more than that. Like, those relationships that like bring unconditional, unbridled joy. And that's what I have to say about that. I am still gonna do the pick a card, but the annoying thing is I probably should have just done this reading in and of itself. But I have to make a call, so I'm gonna pause on this reading and come back to it. I feel like it's important to share that I'm not gonna immediately jump into the reading, but I do need to like recollect my energies before getting into the piles, because I can see them going a while, and you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do the pick a card separately, and I'm going to post this reading separately. But both are gonna happen. So yeah, I'm gonna do the pick a card separately. I might do it on live. I'll think about that. But this general reading, I hope that it helped somebody. I hope that it resonated with somebody, and I hope that it brought the clarity necessary to come into alignment with all that is of you, yourself, and the universe. All right, I love you all truly and deeply. You can book a personal session with me. Yes, pick a cards are great because it's a little bit more specific probably than the general reading, but if you really want to get into the work, if you really want to get into the healing, I would encourage you to book a self-sovereignty guidance package with me. Then we can work together over the course of a period of time. The minimum is I offer packages of 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and 12 months. Or you can book an oracle healing session with me, which is just 1 session. I would recommend those if it's something quick and nitty gritty, and also you might be limited on funds. You can definitely purchase a reading from me. You do not work with me live one-on-one. That is a pre-recorded message that I will send to you. So I always recommend booking an actual session, especially because we do energy work in the session. We clear curse work, we clear energy, we cast out unwanted, unsavory energies, entities, and expressions of existence. And there's just nothing like it. So I would definitely recommend that. The Etsy link is down in the description box. And I I love you all truly and deeply, and I will see you on, not the flip side, because I think that we're already coming out of the flip side, but I will see you when I see you. Peace.